Thank you everybody for joining us, whether in live or through the internet. May the words tonight, Divrei Torah Bileilu Nishmat, a great man, Edmond J, Safra, who gave so much to the world, to Am Yisrael. Are we ready? Okay. My Hanukkah. What is Hanukkah? You know, the Torah does not speak about this holiday for the simple reason that it did not happen when it was written. The Tanakh does not include this holiday for the simple reason that it did not happen when the Tanakh was written. And so the earliest source of this holiday is the Gemara. And so the Gemara tells us in Masechet Shabbat, page 21, something that we may have heard many times before. My Hanukkah, what exactly is the holiday of Hanukkah? And the Gemara tells us the Tanura Banan, the Rabbi said, B'chavhei Bekislev, on the 25th of Kislev, Yomeh de Hanukkah, the days of Hanukkah, Temanya, they are 8 days. We cannot eulogize, we cannot fast. Why? Why the celebration? Why the holiday? Did we leave Egypt? Were we saved from Haman? What happened on this holiday? Well, the Gemara says, Shekshenichnesu Yevanim lahechal, when the Greeks came in to the second Beit HaMikdash, they didn't destroy it, by the way. That's something that we need to remember. They did not destroy the Beit HaMikdash. They simply came in. Tim'u kol hashemanim, and they contaminated all of the oil. Ukshegavra malchut bet hashmonai. Finally, the Jewish people, Matitya ben Yohanan Kohen Gadol, him and his family, and they overcame the Greeks, they overcame the enemy. Badku velo matzu elapach ehad shel shemen. They found only one jug of oil. And that jug was enough to last for one night. And so that night they were going to light the menorah. The Beit HaMikdash, every night they were supposed to light the menorah. And so the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash, which they were going to light, they only had one night's worth of oil. Well, let's get olives and press them and make oil. Great. The closest destination is 4 days away. We need 4 days there, 4 days back, 8 days till we get oil. Okay? So they used what they had. They had their jug of oil. They said, we'll light it tonight. What do we do for the next 7 nights? We'll figure it out. We'll use tameh oil, which is allowed. The halakha says, Tum'ah hutra betzibur, which means that one is allowed to use a tameh, a contaminated and impure korban or oil for the community. So if it must be used, then that's what we'll use. And so the Jewish people lit the menorah the first night. And the Gemara tells us, even though it was supposed to go out the next morning, Na'aseh bones, a miracle happened. Vehidliku mimeno shemona yamim. And it lasted, they were able to light from it for 8 full nights until the messengers came back from the north with the new freshly pressed oil. Leshana aheret, and then forever, keva'um ve'asa'um yamim tovim behalel ve'odah. And therefore, from that day on, we make them days of holiday, days of celebration. And the obvious question that's asked by the Beit Yosef first, and by many after him, I don't understand. So we had enough oil for 1 night, and it lasted for 8. So how many days is the miracle? 7. It's not 8 days of miracle. The first day is not a miracle. The first day was naturally supposed to light. And then the next 7 nights, the extra nights, that was the miracle. And so if we want to make a holiday, we should celebrate Hanukkah for 7 nights. I'm all for it. But why 8 nights? That is the question of the Beit Yosef. He gives 3 answers, and after him, many answers throughout the ages were given. There is even a book that my brother Reuven brought to my attention called Ner LaMe'ah. 1 book. An entire book on 1 question. Why 8 nights? Many creative answers are given in that book. But I would like to share tonight an answer that Rabbi Bernstein brings down, Rabbi Emanuel Bernstein. Such a fantastic thought, fantastic idea. And I thank my colleagues for introducing me to the Sefer. But we first have to ask one more question. And that is the famous question of the pre-Hadash. We all know, what does Hanukkah stand for, by the way? What does it mean? Purim means lottery. Pesach means to jump. What does Hanukkah mean? Two different ideas are given. Hanukkah means to inaugurate, like Chanukah Bayit, when one buys a new home. They inaugurated the Beit HaMikdash. They rededicated the temple. Hanukkah can also mean an acronym. Hanu Bekaf Hey. Chanu, they rested on Chaf Hey on the 25th. And that was when the war ended. The Hashmonaim defeated the Greeks on the 25th of Kislev. And that night they went into the Beit HaMikdash and they're ready to light it. And so when did they light the menorah for the first time? That night. We know that in Judaism the day begins at night. And so that night is the 26th. And the question that Pre-Hadash wants to know, why do we begin the holiday on the 25th? The holiday, the miracle, the lighting began the next night on the 26th. And so to explain all of these thoughts, we have to go to a very famous Ramban that is in Perashat Bo. And the Ramban asks a very simple question. Why do miracles happen? What is the purpose of a miracle? Why does Hashem indeed go against nature? Why does He do that? Any miracle, we always have to ask ourselves, every miracle that happens throughout history, why does it happen? And the Ramban explains beautifully. Well, it's a very simple concept. You see, unfortunately, people over the ages throughout history, they slowly start forgetting about Hashem. They forget about God. They start denying God. There is no creator. There is no purpose. There is no goal. There is no mission. There is no why. There is no reason why we are here. It's all an accident. Some people accept the concept of a God. But you know what? We're too small to interest Him. God doesn't really know what I'm doing every day, really. He's much more important things to do. He's much greater than little me. And so I'm not important, I'm not significant. What I do does not matter. What I do, maybe God doesn't even pay attention to. And of course, these are all ideas against our Torah. We believe that there is a creator. We believe that there is a purpose. We believe that there is reward, there is punishment, there is hashgacha pratit. God is involved in my affairs. He knows and He cares and He is interested in my life. And so God decides to wake the world up, to remove man from this mistake that they had. Hashem had to bring a huge miracle. And it started with Egypt. He brought 10 makot and He splits the sea. Not to get the Jews out of Egypt. We could have left much easier than that. The reason God does the miracles is to prove to Paro and to the Jewish people, I am here, I created the world, I exist, I care, etc. And if that is the case, miracles are for one purpose, to prove to us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu exists. And that again is something that's not so obvious today. Not everybody today accepts that concept. The only problem is, Hashem cannot come every day and do another miracle for every kid that's born. I remember I once had a student, and he said to me, Rabbi, I promise, I will accept today Shabbat. I will keep now kosher. I'll make every kid in the high school do it. I just need you to do for me one thing. I just need you to prove to me that there is a God. Prove it to me and I'll keep His book. I'll follow everything that it says and I'll make everybody keep it. Well, what would you like? Well, Rabbi, here, this wall, just God, make a hole. Just make a hole and then I'll believe you. Just do it, go. Go ahead. Make the hole. And let's call him Joe. I said, Joe, let's play this out. God makes a hole. You go downstairs. Hey, school, you're not going to believe it. I just saw an open miracle, and therefore we should all keep Shabbat. What do you think everyone else is going to say? I didn't see it. God, make for me the hole. I want to see the miracle. And so what's going to have to happen is that every single day, every kid that's born that turns bar mitzvah, along with the new sidur and the new tefillin that we give him, and by the way, Moishi, by the way, just to show you there is a God, Hashem, go, do it. There you go. Now you can be Jewish. That's what's going to need to happen every single time, to prove to everybody in the world that there is a God. And that's not how it works. And so the Ramban says Hashem doesn't do miracles every day, but He does them once in a while. And it's from those nisim. And this is such a powerful line of the Ramban. The Ramban writes, and again, if you want to see it inside, it's at the end of Parashat Bo. Umin hanisim hagedolim. It's from these great public miracles. Adam modeh benisim hanistarim. A person also will concede to the hidden miracles. Shehem yesod haTorah kula, which constitute the foundation of the entire Torah. She'en le'adam helek betorat Moshe Rabbeinu. Says the Ramban, for a person does not have a share in the Torah of Moshe, our teacher. Ad shena'amin bechol devarav umikrenu, until we believe that all of the things and the events that occur in our lives, kulam nisim. Everything that happens to me in my life is a miracle. In bahem teva uminhago shel ulam. There is no such thing, says the Ramban, as nature. There is no nature or custom to the world with them. Ben berabim ben beyahid. Of course, we use the word natural. We use the word nature. And that's fine. The word's not the problem. The Ramban says, but we must remember, we could say teva, but we must remember that really the one running the teva is Borei Olam. And sometimes we forget that. We all admit, we all realize that there are big miracles. Yes, Hashem is involved when there's a person saved, crazy accident. Wow, that was God. But what about the fact that I can move my fingers? What about the fact that I wake up every single day? What about the fact that I could move, that I could think, that I could speak? One must never forget that is not nature. That's also a miracle. It may be a miracle that happens every day. And it may become natural occurrences, things that we get used to. That's fine. And we could assume, and we should assume, that the sun's going to rise tomorrow. That's okay. But to remember that Hashem is the one that's running the show. And so our rabbis tell us that the word hateva, which means nature, is actually the same numerical value as Elokim, as God. Because ultimately, says the Ramban, at the end of the day, there is no nature. At the end of the day, we need to remember, big or small, open or hidden, everything in our life is a miracle. And we come to the holiday of Hanukkah, and we have to ask ourselves, the Maharal asks the following question: why was it necessary for the miracle of the oil to happen? What would have happened if there was no miracle of oil? Let's just say, theoretically, the oil went out after the first night. Would it be so bad? The next night, what do? We'll use contaminated oil. It's not the end of the world. It's not a necessary miracle. And says the Maharal, that's exactly why Hashem did it. It's not necessary. It wasn't needed. And listen to the point right here. This is such a crucial message. It wasn't necessary, but Hashem did it to ensure that we remember that the war was also a miracle. How do we look at those events? How do we analyze the battle? Natural? We were stronger? We had better strategy? We were smarter? We knew the lay of the land better than them? Kohi ve'otzem yadi? Or do we realize and we say, Hodu la Hashem ki tov, thank you Hashem, even for the battle, even for the small things that maybe we could look back and historians could look back and they could rationalize and explain how it is that a small family defeated a mighty army. We would never know that Hashem was with us if not for the miracle of oil. Was it necessary? Not at all. Why does it happen? So that we are reminded, thank you Hashem, 7 days later, 7 days of oil. Oh my gosh, guys, Hashem's with us. That means that 7 days ago when we won the battle, He was also with us. 7 days ago when we won the war, that wasn't us. That wasn't because they made a mistake or we were smarter. That was because Hashem was doing it for us. That's because Hashem was behind it every step of the way. And with that we could answer another beautiful question. Our first question. Why is Hanukkah 8 nights? Wasn't the miracle of oil only 7? And the answer that's given is yes, the oil is only 7. But that's not the only miracle that happened. Maybe it's the only big miracle that happened. The only open miracle that happened. But there was another miracle. There was the miracle of the war. And to the naked eye, it may not seem like a miracle. An average person will look and say, okay, that's amazing. Let's analyze, let's study. Let us study why they lost and why they won. But that's the biggest mistake. That's missing the point. The reason we won is because Hashem wanted us to win. And that's something that sometimes we forget in our lives. Sometimes we forget to see Hashem in the day-to-day. You know, we say in the Ma'os Sur a fantastic line. Yevanim nikbetsu alai. The Yevanim came up against me. Vetimu kol hashemanim, and they contaminated all of the oil. And look at this last line. And from the one jug that remained, na'asan nis, a miracle happened. Benei bina, yemei shmona, kav'u shir urnanim. Benei bina, right? The people of Bina. What does that mean? People of Bina instituted 8 days. Why? Why did people of understanding? Why do we need people of understanding to institute 8 days? What is Bina? We know that we say in the Amidah every day, Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at. We ask Hashem for Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at. And what is the difference between the three? Well, Chokhmah is knowledge. I am taught something and I now have wisdom. I have information. Bina comes from the word livnot, to build. To build on that information that I was given, and to be able to derive one thing from the next. And through that Bina, I come to even greater understanding. That's what Bina is. Benei Bina, Yemei Shmona. It's specifically the people of intelligence, but a specific intelligence. An intelligence not called Chokhmah, called Bina. That they're able to take one piece of information and now build on it. To realize, wait, if Hashem was with us with the oil, that means that God was also with me in the war. And because of Benei Bina, now we have Yemei Shmona. Now we have 8 days as opposed to 7. One such character in our Torah that had tremendous Bina, that was able to realize that God is everywhere in my life, was Yosef HaTzadik. And we read in this week's Parashah how he is sold. His brothers sell him to a group of Ishmaelim. And we know how careful our Torah is on not even wasting a letter. And all of a sudden the Torah comes and tells us, by the way, you know what these Ishmaelim, what they were carrying? Just if you were wondering, because it's so important to the story, to realize that the Ishmaelim, that these people that bought Yosef, that are going to now sell him, Let me tell you what they were holding in their caravans, because it's really important part of the story. They were carrying nechot, utzri, valot. They were carrying spices. They were carrying balsam. They were carrying lotus. Amazing. Who cares? Why do we need to know that? Why is the Torah writing this? It doesn't tell us how many Ishmaelim were. It doesn't tell us what color was their horse. It doesn't tell us what color were their donkeys. It doesn't tell us what color the cat. It doesn't tell us anything else. There's no other detail. One detail. What they were carrying. Why? Says Rashi, because usually Ishmaelim carry not those things. They don't carry lotus. They don't usually carry things that smell amazing. They're usually carrying neft, tar, foul odor things. Why all of a sudden here were they carrying these spices? And the greatness of Yosef HaTzadik is that he is able to realize as he is being sold that if there is something here that's different, God is with me. Hashem is with me on this journey. That's Him. That's not a mistake. That's not a coincidence. That's not an accident. That's an amazing concept. And we know that when Paro meets him, he even calls him an Ish Chacham V'Navon. He was somebody that had intelligence of Binah, to be able to understand one thing from the next. And if this is all true, I believe the message is beautiful. And that is that sometimes in life, we forget to show appreciation for the basic things. We forget to notice the day-to-day miracles. The fact that I could breathe, that I could think. When was the last time we said thank you to Hashem for that? When was the last time that we appreciated that miracle? That is an amazing concept. My brother told me, Rabbi Yaakov, he once said to his kids, "Tell me, kids, who is the best daddy in the world?" And his kid said, "You are." He said, "Right. Why?" "Because you bought us that last week on Shabbat, that amazing toy. You gave us that new toy. $5 toy from amazing savings. That's why I'm the best dad. Not because I pay your rent. Not because I put you into school and I pay your tuition and I put food and clothing and millions of dollars. $5 toy? That's why I'm the best dad?" Sometimes in life we forget. And we need the one miracle of oil and wow, amazing. The Torah, you're the best. What do you mean I'm the best? What about everything that I did till now? That wasn't me. Why don't I get a thank you for that? That is human nature. And the Maccabim realized, B'nai Binah, they had intelligence. They were able lehavin davar mitoch davar, and to understand and say, you know what? That's a mistake. If Hashem's there with us in the oil, then as well we must make sure to remember and thank Hashem, even in the simple things that maybe aren't so obvious. The war, that's also God. Rabbi Yoel Gold brings an amazing story. In 2014, he says his aunt Betsy and her husband Simon decided to go visit Israel. It wasn't a planned trip. They get to Israel, and one night they decided to go to Herzliya. It wasn't a planned part of their itinerary. They get to Herzliya, they decided to go to a restaurant. Also not planned. And as they're sitting in the first floor of this restaurant, the waiter comes over, and all of a sudden, Betsy says to the waiter, I'd rather sit on the second floor, nicer view. Are there any tables upstairs? He says, let me look, I'll come back down. He goes upstairs, he comes back down. There is one table, come with me. They follow him upstairs, they get to the second floor, they're sitting down, beautiful view. Waiter comes over, different waiter that was there on the first floor. How are you? How can I help you? Take a look at the menu. When you're ready to order, you can call me. My name is Barak. The wife hears Barak, and she freezes. Barak, honey, I need you to ask that guy, what's his mother's name? Call the waiter back. What's his mother's name? I need to know. Is his mother's name Orna? Okay. He calls him back. Sir, what's your mother's name? My mother. You want to know my mother's name? Okay. My mother's name is Orna. At first, Betsy said she didn't hear it. She didn't process it. Wait. What'd you say? My mother's name is Orna. She starts getting hysterical. The waiter sees her crying. Is everything okay, ma'am? What happened? Do I know you? Do you know me? She says, sir, you don't understand. Your name is on my kitchen cabinet. For an entire year, I was praying for you. You were in Operation Protective Edge, right? In Gaza? He says, yeah, but I understand. He says, well, there's an American number. You call it up, you get a name of a soldier. Last year, 2014, I called it up. They gave me your name, Barak Ben Orna. And I've been praying for you every single day, for your safety, for your protection. And just last week before we left LA, I said, I wonder, is this guy even alive? This guy that I'm praying for. I would love to just know, is he alive? I would love to meet him. I just want to know, does he know that I prayed for him? I just want to meet him, God. Can I just meet him? And here I am, sitting at a restaurant that I wasn't supposed to be at, in a city that I was not supposed to be at, in a country that I wasn't planned on coming to. On the second floor that I wasn't originally seated at. And you are my waiter. And Hashem answered my prayers. Of course, he was very emotional, very grateful. I don't know if they got a free ice cream at the end or not. But a few weeks later, he writes to them. And he says, I want you to know, Betsy, that many of my friends died in that war in Gaza. And I thought that I was just lucky. And when you came and you told me at the restaurant that you prayed for me, I realized there's no such thing as lucky. I realized that it was Hashem protecting me every single day in that country. And for the first time since my bar mitzvah, I started putting on tefillin, thanks to you. It's in those moments, Rabotai, that we realize that all the coincidences and all the day-to-day occurrences and all the things that we think are natural and teva and it's just luck, there is no such thing. It is all Hashem guarding my life, watching over me, protecting me. That's also a miracle. And we say it every day in the Modim. Modim anahnu lach. I thank you, Hashem, for everything that you did for me. Ve'anisecha shebechol yom imanu. And for the miracles that you do every single day. Erev v'boker v'tzahoraim. In the evening, in the morning, in the afternoon. Every day our rabbis are trying to remind us there are miracles. We need to open our eyes. We need to start realizing it. We need to start appreciating it. We need to start saying to Hashem, thank you for everything that you do for me in my life that I don't usually notice, I don't usually recognize. I call it nature, I call it a doctor, I call it business. That's you, Hashem. Thank you. Edmond Safra was somebody that understood this. I don't know how many of us know this. Every single day, he had people coming to his office, saying Tehillim, praying. My business does not succeed if Hashem's not on my side. I need God in my life. No such thing as savvy and tactics and knowing the stock market. I need Hashem. I'm going to have people pray for me every day to succeed to God. That is a fantastic concept. That is a person with Bina. That is a person that understood every day in life is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. May we be zocheh to the miracles, like we end off in the Ala Nisim. She'asita la'avotenu bayamim ahem bazeman hazeh. Both the open miracles and the hidden miracles that are every day in our lives. May we be zocheh to notice them, to appreciate them.